Welcome to Cosmic Diaries. This is Priya, your astrologer. Today I want to talk to you about Venus's transit through Pisces in general, as well as what's going on specifically right now in 2017. Also, this transit is very significant because on the 30th of January we enter Venus's shadow phase, and Venus will be at the end of Pisces at this time. Then she'll enter Aries on the 3rd of February. Then she stations retrograde on the 4th of March. Then she'll get back into Pisces on the 2nd of April while she's retrograde. Go direct on the 15th of April in Pisces. Leave Pisces on the 28th of April again while she's direct. Enter Aries. Finally leave shadow phase on the 18th of May. What's unfolding now through January, and especially at the end of January once Venus enters shadow, until the 4th of March when Venus stations retrograde. We're going to be recovering that territory 2 more times. Once again when she's going backward, and then when she's direct again. So this time we have Odin with us. Last time it was Chiron. With any retrograde planet, the planet doesn't really move backward. It just appears to move backward from the viewpoint of the Earth. This is exalted in Pisces. When a planet is exalted in a sign, it naturally tends to bring out the highest qualities of the planet as well as the sign. This is the best placement for Venus, and Venus is the planet that rules beauty, love, creativity, money, finances, your relationships, your heart. It's a very personal transit. Venus, as she stations retrograde, she creates a 5-pointed star in the sky, and she'll return at the same retrograde position once every 8 years. The last time Venus was retrograde in Pisces and Aries was in 2009. Look back to what was going on with you in about the same period, February to mid-May 2009. This year she enters shadow at 26 degrees of Pisces. So if you have any planets around 26 degrees of Pisces, or then the mutable signs, Gemini, Sagittarius, Virgo, you're likely to feel this transit more personally. Venus is the planet of beauty, love, relationships, your heart, your creativity. It's the feminine principle, it's the creative principle, it's the womb out of which creation is born. These are the areas that are being highlighted with this transit. If you haven't watched my video on Mars in Pisces, I would recommend you watch that as well. Now Venus, Mars, Neptune are all in Pisces with the South Node, Chiron. So we're having a bit of a Pisces party at the moment. But and you can really feel this energy. It's brimming with potential, and it's creative, and it's magical. It's very ethereal and musical, and now it's really getting juicy. The potential is really limitless. There's a dreaminess, a sense of possibilities. But at the same time, with Pisces, it's about going beyond the veil and seeing beyond the surface, beyond someone's appearance, really experience someone's heart. Pisces is the sign that represents God, cosmic consciousness. Not what we know of God, that's Sagittarius. This is God as an experience, which is oneness, which is the cosmic ocean. Everything that exists, manifest and unmanifest. It's the great void out of which all of creation is born. The omnipotence, omnipresence, and omniscience of God. God being alive in you and me. Pisces is ethereal and divine spirit, as well as it can be illusory. The movies are represented by Pisces. What's an illusion? It's what in Sanskrit they call Maya. Life is a dream, it's God's dream, is what they say. This is the lower octave of Neptune. Jupiter is the traditional ruler of Pisces, but Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces. And Neptune is the higher octave of Venus. And Venus will talk about personal love, relationships on an earthly plane, on the material plane. Neptune and Pisces speaks more of unconditional love, the kind of love that the universe has for us. When Venus is in Pisces, it's easier for us as humans to experience this divine unconditional love, as well as share it without attachment, without conditions. It doesn't mean that you don't have boundaries, but you can still love someone. Love is unconditional. Relationships are a choice. We were meant to love everybody, but who we choose to relate with and how deeply, that is a choice that we make. It always goes both ways. Whether or not you consider yourself a creative person, creativity is not just about painting and music and art. Cooking is creativity. Any idea you have, you could be a software programmer, but you're creating code. You think of an idea. Where does that idea come from? You can say you thought about it, but then finally when it clicks, it comes. So where does it come from? That's that void. Imagine Venus, which is the creative principle in the womb, being in that sign of Pisces where it's easier for us to access this energy. You can create something out of nothing right now. But that's also why you have to be careful, because you don't want to create something out of nothing, the wrong kind of something out of the wrong kind of nothing. Well, I hope you understand what I'm saying. This Piscean energy, as much as it has all of this potential and depth, be wise about where you're going deeper. This is the cosmic ocean. Cosmic ocean does not differentiate. You don't turn your back on the ocean. You don't turn your back on the universe. It's really something that's the most important thing that I want to talk to you about today, which is when we're talking about astrology, it's very easy, and I don't want to be scientific about it. Look for proof, or even prediction for that matter. The deeper you dive into it, possible to deny that there are divine forces at work. But meditation is something that we have to make a daily practice now, especially with all of these planets in Pisces moving in January. It's what's really going to give you the clarity you need to navigate life. There's no one day where life is going to be perfect. There's always going to be new challenges. That is the nature of life. That is the nature of the universe. If it was all done, we'd be done. We wouldn't be here. We live in a metaphysical universe. The physical reality is one plane of existence, it's one dimension. You're working with astrology, you're working with divine forces. And whether or not you follow astrology, it's still manifesting in your life. Astrology is just a language, the universe, planetary gods that we're working with. So they're divine energies as represented by the planets. They're manifesting through us all the time. These archetypes are. Recognize the divinity in things, in everything, in everyone you meet. It's not that it's not there otherwise, but it's just more alive in people right now. People are more sensitive to it. But there's a lot of shadiness around as well. There's a full moon coming up mid-month. That's going to be a significant full moon because it's also making a grand cross to Pluto, Uranus, and the whole chart is activated. Venus will be conjunct Neptune at the time of the full moon, exactly conjunct. Anything is possible. You're going to have to be very conscious and very clear about what you want and what you desire and what you're creating, most importantly, because your actions are creating your reality. It's important that you're conscious of your own fantasies and you're not projecting them onto situations, because otherwise, as we enter this Venus retrograde transit and Venus shadow, you don't want to be learning difficult lessons. We can learn these lessons in love. We don't have to learn them through pain. If the resources for something don't seem present, there's a sense of a lack, perhaps. Are you using your skills well? Are you using all of your skills? Are you using all of your resources well? Or are you wasting your resources? Are you using your talents? Are you using your abilities? You have a lot more to you than you even realize. That's what the Venus and Mars and Pisces are showing you. There's so much more to you. And that's because there's a higher divine force that flows through you. You're just a vessel. We're just here. And life is happening through us. We are co-creating with the universe. Now we're slowly trying to merge with that spirit. This is divine energy. And it's very much alive. Energy is more active and more present. It's a matter of learning to listen to your own heart and to explore its desires. Have what we need to create more of what we need. And use your imagination. It will take real effort and practical steps in the physical world to materialize a dream, clarify a vision. Things are foggy. Be patient while clarity returns rather than jumping into something, feeding your energy and what you're creating. Because consciously or unconsciously, you are creating your life. Things could get pretty romantic. Relationships are deepening. Some may be ending. Love need not be blind. When you're falling in love, you fall in love with your eyes wide open, and then later maybe you need to close your eyes a little bit. And we generally do it the other way around. Which are the relationships that really, really touch you on a soul level? Be honest with yourself about what you want, about what is working and what isn't working. The boundaries are dissolving. Full opportunity now to deepen connections that really touch your soul and warm your soul and heart, that you can form lucrative, creative partnerships with. But there's also equally an opportunity to be swept away in something that's less than clear or shady, even. That can only happen if you are caught up in superficial and surface appearances. It's about going deeper within yourself so you can develop insight. Then there's a knowing. With the full moon, it's a chance to really let go of emotional baggage. Floodgates are opening up, so it's going to be a watershed. Watch out for that. Be a bad thing or a painful thing, but there's a flood of emotions that's going to arise. That's going to fill your heart with you realizing how human you are and how capable you are of feeling the entire depth and range of emotion. If you can feel that, then is it so hard to understand someone else's pain? The circumstances of our lives may be different. The stories of our lives may be different. Ultimately, we're all capable of feeling the same thing. And what separates us and divides us is our perceptions. Because if we really felt another's pain, then we would never want to hurt anyone or any living thing. Suffering is not necessary. But of course, the world that we live in, the wealth, the balance, the distribution of wealth is pretty skewed. But still, we can't wait for the governments and the politicians and someone else to take care of things or make the world a better place. You've got to do what you can. You volunteer your time. You do what you can. It's not only about having money. Because Pisces is again, it's a water sign. It's ethereal energy. So this is about the love you have and the compassion you have to give, which is endless. It's about selflessly sharing that with the world. Or having money in the bank. It's the depth of your heart. Where you can give, you give. But when you give without expectation. You're not giving so that you can tell other people, oh, I did this today. It defeats the purpose. These chapters are ending and new chapters are beginning. This is a journey into your own heart. If there is sadness, do what you can to consciously release it. Because this is only opening your heart. And the more honest and clear you are with yourself about what you want, you can attract that into your world. Or then keep the space open for it and not just dive into something and then try to make it into something it is not or something that you want it to be. Beginning, we can be all fascinated, but that's just chemistry, that's attraction. Whether you want to act on that or not, that's a whole different, situation. There's nothing wrong with whatever you decide or whatever you choose, but you have to understand that your choices have consequences and your choices affect not just you, but everyone in your life. And what's happening now, the ripple effects are reaching far and wide, especially as we get closer to the shadow period. Mercury will leave shadow and make a conjunction to Pluto, and Mars enters Aries from the 28th. The 30th, Venus enters shadow. Also, very notably, Saturn in the sidereal zodiac will be entering Scorpio on the 29th of January. Everything's opening up, but the question is, what do you want to do? Then how are you going to do it? Take the steps that you need to take and to attract what you need to attract and then recognize the opportunities as they arise. First is really alive at the moment. I keep saying that, but it's true. You really, if you look in the eyes of every person you meet right now, you're going to see it more clearly. This is the lesson of Venus being exalted in Pisces. Love is an overflowing and an outpouring of your being that you share. Jupiter and Libra, Venus in Pisces, neutral reception, where it's got kindness, compassion, love, sharing, equality, respect, truth, honesty. Where if you love someone, then you respect them enough to be honest with them. And you do it kindly if you think it's going to hurt them. You can't, the truth always comes out. Ask yourself if, an experience you're having is really an experience you want to have. Not, then how can you shift that? Look at what your role is in this situation and what you're creating. You're adding to only one half of an equation. The universe is really listening to you right now. So be careful what you wish for. We don't know what we're asking for, and it's best to, no matter what you've dreamed for yourself, the universe has dreamed it better. And when we go to the universe with our little wishes, we'll get them, but we're limiting what's coming to us. Venus will sextile Pluto on the 20th of January and conjunct Chiron on the 25th of January. There are bittersweet realities to face because Chiron asks for total awareness, and if you've been in denial, that's where the pain will come from when that bubble bursts. Pain and sadness are facts of life. Everybody goes through pain and sadness, and even in relationships, it happens because when we're close to each other, there's friction. You fall down, you get hurt. Someone dies, there's sadness. Pain and sadness are part of the human emotional experience, but we don't need to hold on to them forever. You can't grasp the ocean. Life has its own ebb and flow. Letting go is hard, but if you really know, and I'm not saying believe, but if you really knew that something was unconditional and love was really true, then you wouldn't need to cling. Then you would trust in the ebb and flow of life. So don't cling to anyone or anything right now. Don't even cling to, your illusions. Whatever's being swept away from your life is what's not real or what has served its purpose in your life. Consciously release what's taking up space and, preventing a flow of fresh energy entering your world. Inspiration, be it love, money, whatever. And then keeping that space open, not being in a hurry to fill the void. Nature abhors a vacuum. Or you keep that space open, the universe can bring the right kind of something to you. So if something seems too good to be true, trust your instincts. Don't until you have more information and you've really tested the waters. It's about being cautious, going by your experience of situations, and being wise. You can want to see the best in others, but we don't see the world as it is, we see it as we are. Just because you are a certain way does not mean the other person is going to behave a certain way, respond the same way, reciprocate your emotions, or feel the way you do. All you can do is share how you feel. You've got to be wise about where you invest your time, resources, and energy, and what you're creating with it. Remember, what goes around comes around. Jupiter is in Libra, and this is about the universal law. What you put out does come back to you in ways seen and unseen. You can only control what you throw in the pond. Once you've thrown that pebble, it's out of your hands. So it's about acting consciously, creating consciously, and looking at what you're exchanging with others consciously. That's why it's important to have self-awareness, because yes, sometimes you will have projections, other people's projections and your projections. So you've got to keep that screen clean. You're going to have to make important decisions at the end of January, which is ushering you into a whole new phase. Choose wisely. Pay attention to what comes up. It's giving you a glimpse into a longer transit. From the 2nd of April to the 12th to the 28th of April, she's going to be back again in Pisces, since direct on the 15th of April, the point where she was at the end of January. You're going to revisit these situations. The future does not exist, neither does the past. We are living in one eternal moment. Every moment bleeds into the next. This is the eternal now. Pay attention to what you're feeding, and you don't have to fight demons and ghosts that aren't there. The way to deal with them is to put your energy somewhere else. So that connection, see, it's not an external thing. Whether it's a relationship or whatever, or even if it's addiction, what are we really seeking? We're seeking a connection. The moment I base my happiness on something outside of me, then it's going to be fleeting. To find that sense of contentment and joy and endless, boundless well within myself. To sum it up, this energy is extremely romantic, beautiful, creative, with endless, infinite potential. It's divine, unconditional love. But it's also important that you remain connected to the source inside so that you aren't swept away by what's not real and what's illusory, what's shimmering but not really gold. When Venus returns and stations direct again, there'll be a sense of having gone through a situation, come back, understand on a deeper level, and understand your potential on a deeper level, and then move forward again. I will record another video with uh, part 2 to this video, talking about Venus in Aries and the retrograde station. I'll record one for Venus in the 12th sign with the retrograde video, because then I'll talk about where the retrograde and how the retrograde is playing out. For now, watch your Mars in Pisces video. That will tell you where the transit is playing out for you, depending on your sign and rising sign. Mars is your passion, your drive, and your action. With Venus also in Pisces now, the energy is very fused. You can apply that to your relationships, your creativity, money, everything that you value, what is valuable to you. So that's it for now. I will be back as soon as I can again with a Venus retrograde video. But take care, and I will catch you again soon. Tada, tada for now.